Father Peter's life as a priest in St. Mary's Parish was one that initially inspired admiration. He had a deep connection with his congregation, and his sermons were known to resonate with the people. However, behind the veil of his public duties, Father Peter struggled privately with his commitment to celibacy, leading him down a dark path. Over time, Father Peter found himself crossing boundaries, forming inappropriate relationships with members of the parish. His actions went unnoticed for a long while, hidden behind his charismatic personality. He continued his duties, presiding over Mass and hearing confessions, while carrying the weight of his unfaithfulness. But all that would change when one of the parishioners, a brave young woman, decided to take a stand. The girl, feeling uncomfortable with Father Peter's advances, discreetly recorded their interactions. She knew that confronting him directly wouldn't be enough, so she sought help from Father Kuma, the parish head. Father Kuma, known for his integrity, was devastated when he saw the evidence. Acting swiftly, he removed Father Peter from his priestly duties and called for a thorough investigation. As the truth emerged, Father Peter was faced with a difficult choice. He could either deny his actions or take responsibility. In a public apology, Father Peter confessed to his congregation, admitting to the relationships and the harm caused. He expressed deep regret for his actions, acknowledging the betrayal of trust he had inflicted on his parish. What was even more shocking was his admission to having fathered children with multiple women in the parish, a truth he could no longer hide. One of the young women he had been involved with was pregnant, and unlike others who had concealed their situations, she refused to terminate the pregnancy or give the child up for adoption. She stood by her decision, and Father Peter, realizing the gravity of his actions, chose to leave the priesthood entirely. He married the woman, determined to take responsibility for his family and live an honest life moving forward. Father Peter's repentance was sincere. He publicly asked forgiveness from the congregation, and while many were hurt and disappointed, his acknowledgement of his sins and decision to step down showed a commitment to change. The story of Father Peter served as a stark reminder that no one is beyond the reach of temptation, but also that redemption is always possible through repentance, accountability, and a dedication to making things right. The moral of the story lies in the power of confronting wrongdoing, the courage to seek change, and the importance of integrity in every aspect of life, especially when in positions of trust. Father Peter's confession left a deep scar on the St. Mary's Parish, but it also became a pivotal moment for change, led by Father Kuma. As the head of the parish, Father Kuma was not only tasked with enforcing discipline, but also ensuring that such betrayals of trust would never happen again. After removing Father Peter from his position and guiding him through his repentance process, Father Kuma turned his attention to the larger issue: how could the church prevent other priests from falling into the same patterns of failure? Father Kuma understood that what had happened with Father Peter wasn't an isolated event, it was a symptom of deeper issues that many priests faced: loneliness, isolation, and the immense pressure of the priestly calling. He realized that addressing this was crucial for the well-being of the priest and the health of the church. A new code of conduct and accountability. In response, Father Kuma implemented several new measures to protect the parish and guide priests who might be struggling. First, he introduced a more stringent code of conduct, emphasizing the importance of boundaries between clergy and parishioners. Priests were required to undergo regular spiritual counseling and were encouraged to be open about their struggles in a confidential setting. A system was set up where priests would meet monthly with a spiritual director to discuss any personal challenges, including their commitment to celibacy. This was not meant as a form of surveillance, but as a support system to ensure that no priest felt alone in their difficulties. Father Kuma also instituted a reporting system where parishioners could safely report any inappropriate behavior, with anonymity guaranteed. This was a direct response to the silence that had allowed Father Peter's actions to go unchecked for so long. Father Kuma made it clear that the church had a duty to listen to its people and protect them from harm. advice to young priests and those tired of the calling. One of the most significant actions Father Kuma took was speaking directly to younger priests and those who were struggling with their vows. In a heartfelt address, he acknowledged that the priesthood was a demanding vocation, one that required immense sacrifice and could often lead to feelings of isolation or even doubt. He encouraged priests to seek help when they felt overwhelmed or disconnected from their calling, reminding them that asking for help was not a sign of weakness, but of strength. Father Kuma spoke of the importance of self-care and spiritual renewal. He advised young priests to take time for personal reflection, prayer, and to build strong, healthy friendships outside of the church. He also encouraged them to pursue hobbies and activities that would keep them grounded and mentally healthy. He stressed the point that priesthood was not about perfection, but about being faithful to the call, even in times of difficulty. To those who felt they could no longer honor their vows of celibacy, Father Kuma's advice was both compassionate and firm. He reminded them that celibacy was a sacred commitment, one that should not be abandoned lightly. However, he also acknowledged that some priests might realize over time that they were not meant to continue in their vocation. For these priests, Father Kuma encouraged them to be honest with themselves and the church. Rather than live a double life, he advised them to live the priesthood with dignity, if necessary, and seek a path that would allow them to live with integrity. Father Peter's path to redemption. After leaving the priesthood, Father Peter's life became an example of this honesty. Though his fall from grace was painful, his decision to confess and take responsibility for his actions allowed him to begin a new chapter. Marrying the woman who carried his child, Father Peter chose to live a life of openness, one that allowed him to make amends for his past wrongs. In a poignant moment of humility, Father Peter returned to the parish one last time, this time as a layperson, to publicly apologize to the congregation. He stood before them, no longer as their priest, but as a man seeking redemption. He asked for their forgiveness, especially from the families and individuals he had hurt. Father Peter admitted that his actions had been a violation of his sacred trust, and that he was committed to living a better life. His confession of fathering children with 3 women, including a married woman, shocked the congregation. But his honesty, painful as it was, helped to begin the healing process. He promised to take responsibility for the children he had fathered, a pledge that he honored by providing for them and staying involved in their lives. The moral of the story. Father Peter's story became a powerful lesson for the parish and the wider church. It illustrated the dangers of ignoring one's struggles and the importance of seeking help before it's too late. It also served as a reminder that redemption is always possible, but only when one faces their mistakes with honesty and humility. Father Kuma's actions highlighted the importance of accountability, both for priests and for the church as a whole. His efforts to prevent future occurrences of such behavior set a new standard for the parish, ensuring that no one, clergy or layperson, would feel abandoned or unheard. With Father Peter's repentance and Father Kuma's strict reforms in place, a wave of confessions swept through St. Mary's Parish, revealing the deeper extent of the moral decay that had taken root in the community. The newly appointed priest, Father Timothy, was a man known for his integrity and honesty. He became the confessor for many men and women who had long been carrying heavy burdens of guilt, shame, and secrecy. As people came forward, it became evident that Father Peter was not the only one who had strayed from his priestly vows. Over the years, other priests had also abused their positions of trust, preying on vulnerable parishioners. What began as personal confessions soon unveiled a broader pattern of misconduct, spanning years, involving both men and women, the young and the married. Many of these individuals had kept their pain hidden, afraid to speak out against those they saw as representatives of God. The confessions were difficult for Father Timothy to hear, but he welcomed each one with compassion. His commitment to healing the wounds of the past allowed the people of St. Mary's to finally confront the truth and release the shame that had been suffocating them for so long. Women who had been silenced found their voices, men who had unknowingly married women who had been coerced by priests came to terms with the truth, and families were able to rebuild on a foundation of honesty. As a result of this openness, the community began to change. The secrecy that had once festered in the shadows was replaced with a new sense of trust and transparency. The people of St. Mary's became more vigilant, especially in protecting their children and the younger generation from the mistakes of the past. Parents began to pay closer attention to their children's interactions, not only in the church but within the community as a whole. They became proactive, ensuring that no one would again fall victim to abuses of power, particularly within the sacred spaces they had once trusted blindly. This transformation had a profound impact on the parish. The once fractured community became united, and the people found true happiness in their homes and in their faith. Families grew stronger, with deeper bonds of trust and love. The shadow of mistrust that had loomed over St. Mary's for so long was finally lifted, and the parish began to thrive. The changes Father Kuma had enforced, combined with Father Timothy's honesty and openness, created an atmosphere where people felt safe, respected, and valued.